This is episode 88. Today we're going to be talking about the book of Boba Fett, chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian. I'm Todd Hoffman. Unfortunately, Little T Trent couldn't make it today, but we got a great show ahead of us. This really should be called the Book of Mandalorian because Boba Fett did not show up. But before we get there, you got to check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Big T Little T. We have been streaming there a little bit more consistently, and we've been playing some Madden 2022 and checking out. We're doing a little tournament where we're going through all the different teams in the NFL and winner stays, and we're having a lot of fun doing that. Trent is consistently taking names and beating his dad. So that's a lot of fun. We have a great time. So check it out. And oh man, what a great last weekend, playoff weekend. Football, holy cow. We had a lot of upsets. 3 away teams, 1 home team, came back in the last second. Oh my gosh, it was a fantastic weekend because most importantly, the Packers lost. So that was fantastic. And so Robbie Gould, ex-Bears kicker, kicking the game-winning field goal. It was muy wonderful. So that was a lot of fun last weekend. But here we are in the middle of the week. Yesterday, as of this recording, the book of Boba Fett came out for chapter 5. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? All right. So first up, we got Meat Locker. So we have Din shows up. I believe Trent said, shut the front door. It was something that I said in chapter 8 of season 1 of Mandalorian when Moff Gideon displayed his lightsaber. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even expect the dark saber to show up, and that showed up. I was like, oh, that was fantastic. Obviously, we got the tease last week that the Mandalorian would show up, and it didn't disappoint. He did show up, like, right away. There was no tease, but here's the weird thing. Boba Fett didn't show up. What the heck is going on here? But I was really thinking we were getting, like, mega powers, a little Hulk Hogan, a little Macho Man. But we just got Macho Man. We just got Mando coming at us, and right from the get-go, just similar to what we saw in chapter 1 of Mandalorian season 1, we got Mando looking for a bounty. And it's Klatooin. Klatooin is the species. They're kind of the dog-faced people. They are prevalent in most of the Outer Rim planets, cities, whatever. They are, let's see, they were at the table with Book of Boba Fett last week, and they were the raiders in the Sanctuary episode in season 1. And no surprise here because Bryce Dallas Howard directs this. It comes in about 50 minutes, I believe, is the runtime for the show, and very strong first half, a little weak on the second half, but this really clicked for me. So anyways, we open up, they're in the meat locker. This is little Rocky Balboa. We got some big old beef steaks, or maybe it's I don't know, some yak, I don't know, whatever space creature we have, but he is looking for this particular Klatooin. I believe it's Kaba or something like that. And we got the puck, we got the tracker, we got all the things that Mando does. And he's like, it doesn't even look like me. Of course, it's you. And we get the line, we could bring in warm, we could bring in cold. It don't matter. So he's got a bunch of muscle with him. They all look like they're from the Bronx. They look like they've been in some fights before, and we get a big fight right away. Darksaber comes out. He's pulling off all the tricks. He's getting everybody. Very cool fight sequence here. Love the fight sequence. Uh, guess what? Kaba didn't make it. But during the process of that, Mando injures himself with the Darksaber, but he manages to stab Kaba and then take off his head. Yeah, it's not pretty. It's kind of, and then he puts it in a little sheet. Kaba was counting some Republic credits. He comes out. There's a bunch of Klatooan goons looking for him, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't got to fight with you. I already took out your boss. There's some Republic credits in the back. Kind of look at them. They let him pass. They all go in the back, get a cut. Don't know what happens there, but yeah. So kind of a fun little front market meat thing, but in the back we got a little crime thing going on. So that was kind of cool. So it's so he goes into a Halo type city, which is kind of cool. Very cool big shot of this Halo ring. Reminds me of the rings of Kafafir or something like that was in Rogue One. So we got this kind of cool ring world that is awesome. And then he meets an Ishitib that is the one for the bounty. And she wants him to sit back, relax, have some drinks, have some tip yip or some space tacos or whatever these fine folks are doing, but he has none of it, and he wants information that we know about I guess what you would say, what do they call it? Like a alcove or I forget, covert or whatever. He wants to know where the Mandalorians are at. So she kind of gives a little hint, like, hey, it's behind this ventilation shaft. So I guess there's some rumblings that the Mandos are present. So he sticks on his infrared when he gets down to where he's sub-level, and he could see the markings. Hey, go this way, go this way. And then we get the big kind of mythosaur skull that like, hey, it's over here. And he pushes the button, and we get the armor. Yes, the armor shows up. Fantastic first cameo and surprise. We got an armor, and then we got the other Vizsla, Paz Vizsla. He's the heavy Mando that came in with the old Gatling gun and helped them out in chapter 3, I believe, when they had the big showdown in Navarro. Oh, yeah, this guy's awesome. He's big muscle, and he's got a cool jetpack and all the right features. And at the time, Mando didn't have a jetpack. He's like, I gotta get me one of those. So yeah, it was super cool. So we get a little bit of Mandalore history again. Always love when the armorer talks, because she means business, and she really kind of sets the tone. Like, hey, how did you get it? Where did you get it? I fought it off of Moff Gideon. And then one of my favorite shots is she kind of talks about Mandalore and the Great Purge, and wow, we get to see it kind of a little bit, a glimpse. So we see a sky of TIE bombers. They're blowing up the stuff. They're blowing up Mandalore. And again, if you watch Rebels, Sabine had a play in that. She helped develop the bombs that were part of that whole thing. So there's a Rebels connection. And then we get a K2SO, a tactical enforcer droid, taking out Mandos on the planet side as the TIE bombers blow up. I mean, this is a full-blown destruction of a planet. Very Empire, very cool. It's only a couple seconds, but man, the visuals were so fantastic on this. I really like the setup. So they talk about that, talk about the creed and the title, and how, this was the first Jedi that created it was a Mandalorian Jedi that created it. And so we get that. We got a little bit of that backstory. And obviously, if you watch Clone Wars, it's all right there. We get that information when you get into Clone Wars. But for people that don't watch Clone Wars, it's just a little recap of I think it's Tar Vizsla is the first Mandalorian Jedi with the Darksaber. It's a different kind of Beskar handle hilt thing. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful ancient weapon. Lot of lore, lot of just fun stuff with the Darksaber, and it looks cool. So they kind of talk through this stuff, blah blah blah. Great, let's do this. And at this time, she also the heavy heals Mando with his cut because he's not feeling so good because he took a lot of stairs, all this fun stuff, So get that all great, cool. But then he has the Beskar spear, which she got from Ahsoka, and she's like, we can't have that because Beskar spear can break Beskar armor. So that's where she feels like we need to melt that down and do something. And so he wants a little a gift for Grogu. And so she makes something, ties in a little thing, and you can see it more clearly in a future setup, but right when she handed it to him, right away I was like, dude, it looks like Grogu. It's like tied off in this little like knapsack thing. Looks great. It looks fantastic. But we don't know what it is. And before this actually happens, there we go. They do a little sword practice, and what Din says, it gets heavier as he yields it. And Armor's trying to explain, like, you're not giving into the will of the blade. Very Jedi-like, which is interesting. I thought that was kind of cool. And she basically said, you're distracted. You're not doing your thing. So you're not in your Mando zone, And so I think Vizsla overheard that and says, I want to fight for the blade. They take off their jetpacks, and because it's Star Wars, they're on a plank with no guardrails, so they could fall to their death. No big deal. It's Spring Planet. It's fine. It's okay. So they have this duel. The heavy gets a jump on him, but then Mando gets flown to this other platform. They're doing some Mando fighting, very hand to hand, very awesome. Vizsla gets the blade and is about to take out Mando, but then he's got a vibroblade kind of knife and stabs him and it basically gets the advantage of Vizsla, and he won. Hooray, Mando win. But the Armor, being the technical person she is, says, hey, have you anyone seen your face or removed your helmet? And he's like, yo, yeah, I removed my helmet. So he didn't lie, but he kept the blade, which I thought was interesting. I thought, why would he not give up the blade? But he took the blade, but he's no longer technically a Mandalorian. I don't know where you sit on this. Again, if you listen to Bo-Katan, Death Watch is not good. If you know the Clone Wars, again, it's it is a sect of Mandalore. It is the true Mandalorian way, but the Death Watch kind of twisted a little bit. So I don't know. I could go either way. Take your helmet off, take your helmet on. It doesn't matter. You're still Mandalorian, I think. But according to Armor, they are not. So he leaves. He's out the door. He's going to get some local transport. And it's not clear why he's going to Tatooine. But he has to dump all his weapons. We get the classic Rex robot and now Rex is from the Star Tour, so I think you would call it an RX series pilot. He was the original pilot on the Star Tours, and he's got to dump all his stuff, and so he gets all his stuff, and he actually puts the Darksaber in a little carrying thing, and he's on his way. Not too much happens in this flight except a Rhodinian little child turns around and waves at him. I love this part. I think it's cool that a kid thinks Amando's awesome, which they are. I just love this little part, and it pays off. The little bit pays off again later, which is awesome storytelling. Yes, it is. So we'll get to that in a second. So, we get down to Tatooine, and we get to see our girl, Pelly. She's back once again. Not only did she make a little cameo in a earlier chapter with Boba, but now she's full blown here, and we get her talking about, I think, 35. We get another cameo, a BD series droid. So a BD series droid is from Jedi Fallen Order, BD1. We love him. We love him. We love him. Now he's in live action, which makes it even better. At first, I'm like, is this the really BD1 from Cal Kestis? I don't know. But it's definitely a BD series. Obviously, we got our own, we got a Gronk, not a Gronk, a Gonk. I think it's actually a different type of Gonk because it's a little bit bigger, so it might be something else. I don't know what it is, but we got R5 is there. We got pit droids. We got a Treadwell. We got all kinds of droids there. But the Womp Rap, it's huge and takes Pelly. Mando shows up, shoots her, and she's like, "Hey, I got the ship for you." This is something that I read on the interwebs that Mando would be flying an N1 starfighter, but they thought it was for season 3, but it turns out they were actually filming for Book of Boba, which makes sense. And yes, we have an N1 starfighter from Naboo. Not as classy and as regal as it once was. It's hard to say if this was Anakin's. I doubt there's a connection there. Maybe. I don't think he returned to Tatooine in N1 starfighter. In fact, we know he doesn't because that was the first time he stepped on when he saw his mom, or looking for his mom in Attack of Clones. But we have an N1 starfighter nonetheless, but it's in bad shape. So we have a great building montage. We got Jawas getting parts. We got all kinds of different stuff, making all kinds of modifications to the N1. This one felt a little dragged on, but it's very similar to when Queel and him rebuilt the Razor Crest. So I get the kind of montage there. It was kind of cool. Yeah, it's just fun. They name off a bunch of Star Wars parts, which is great. And then she's like, "Hey, why don't you take it for a spin?" And after they get all the different stuff for the N1 starfighter, they get it all souped up. It's ready to go. It looks nothing like before. Little hot rod, got little guns, got a little extra turbocharged stuff. Very cool. Takes it for a spin. It's fantastic. He goes up in space, and he sees the Starliner, and we get to see the kid again. So he does a little nod. It's like, yeah. Then we get stopped by the cops. The Fuzz stops him, and it's not cool. But is it before that? Oh, yeah. Jeez, I missed the whole part. He goes through Beggar's Canyon and does all this cool stuff, and we get to see all the stuff that Anakin raced in the Boot to Eve Classic. It's super cool. We get to revisit all this stuff. We get to see the service ramp where he launched off and all this fun stuff. I mean, it's great. Super cool visuals there. Love that bit. And then that's when he launched in space. My bad. And then the cops, the Fuzz stops him, and we get to see our favorite rebel pilot asking for transponders codes and all this kind of stuff. And he's like, "Hey, you're not the same Mandalorian, blah, blah, blah." Then this is what my boy Mando does. Kicks the turbochargers in sublight speed. And X-Wing pilot's like, "Hey, how did he jump to light speed?" He didn't. That was just his sublight engines. So he fast. It was cool. And he lands. It's super cool. And Pelly asks, like, "How was it?" And he's like, "Wizard." So now another prequel little montage there, a little knock to our good friend Kister that's Anakin's friend in Phantom Menace. He says wizard. It's kind of a cool little thing. I don't know. It's such a George thing. It's great. We get to see Mando say wizard, which is awesome. Yeah, it's very cool. Then uh, Pelly says, hey, someone's here to look for you, but I turn on the security stuff, and here we go. Fennec Shand is in the house, and she's like, hey, I got a job for you. Are you looking for work? Boba Fett needs your help. But he goes, yeah, I could do that, but I need to pay a visit to a little friend. So here's the weird thing. I don't think Mando's coming back for the next 2 episodes. I'm just going to say it. I think it's just a setup for season 3 for Mando. I don't know if he's coming back. So we might not get a Boba Fett, or maybe, or what it could be is that there's still a little more time lapse between this episode and chapter 6, where he does come back. So we will see that story happen in Mandalorian season 3. And then we get this back to Boba. He gets back to Boba and helps him with Mos Espa and the Pikes. So I don't know. This episode's great. I think the whole problem is it's so good, but Boba's not in any of it. So it's like, oh man, come on. Can we get a little Boba Fett? So, yeah, it's just, I just wish it was, just wish we got some Boba Fett. That's all. It's called Book of Boba, not Book of Mando, but it is a really strong episode. Visually, very good. Excellent storytelling. Like I said, a little long with the building montage, but other than that, it's great. It's super fun. I think again, we just these next 2 episodes really gotta put emphasis on why we should care about Boba Fett and his motivations. We got the setup for the motivation. Like, hey, I want to rule. I don't want to be a bounty hunter anymore. I want to kind of rule with fear, not fear, but like respect in a sense. We got that all set up. But now it's like, okay, why should we care? And is he going to be a bad guy or good guy, or what's going on here? It's still kind of confusing, in a sense. And it might be similar to the Din change, where Din, Mando was a bad guy and then now he's a good guy because he's a space dad. I don't know. I want to care more about Boba Fett, and I do care about Boba Fett, but not because of this show. And so that's where I'm like struggling with this a little bit. But it was a great episode. Visually, I wish it's just like night and day from chapter 3 to this one, chapter 5. I mean, it just is. It's just, the world building's great. It looks great. Even though we go back to Tatooine, we get some cool shots. We get, Womp Rats, big and small. We got Jawas. We got droids. We got BD units. We got that cool little like space dragon thing that I think is like some nod to a Super Nintendo game, the Super Star Wars game. That dragon right there, it kind of looks like a Game of Thrones dragon. That's an enemy in Super Nintendo, so that's another deep cut. Just a lot of nostalgia here, which is great. It just didn't have Boba Fett in it, and that's the problem. So hopefully this setup will pay off for the next 2 episodes, and I'm hoping we get, my main, not only do I want like a bunch of bounty hunters, obviously, but my main, I really want Kira. That's what I want. I want Kira to be like the big bad at the end with the Crimson Dawn or something like that, who is also in the spice market and all this kind of stuff, and might be either the boss to the Pikes or the Pikes are with her, that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I want. It'd be cool to set that up bigger. But again, it's just like a little bit more motivation for Boba Fett. I need that character. Like, I really care about the character and all that stuff. So there you have it. Super amazing episode. Really dug it. Bryce Dallas Howard really knows her stuff. She knows her Star Wars, and the world building, the big ring planets, the Mandalorian purge, all that stuff was just dynamite. It was awesome. It was super cool. So there you have it. That's it. Chapter 5 in the books. Don't really have any predictions for chapter 6. Don't know what's going to happen. But like I said, need a little bit more Boba, hopefully, in this next one to really drive it home. But I'm excited for these next two. So there you have it. Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This has been Big T and Little T. Episode 88. I can't believe that. 88 episodes. That's insane. You can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T podcast and Instagram, BLILT podcast on Twitter. And then here, twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. And you can follow us there. We would love for the subscriptions and the likes and the reminders and all that stuff as we go through this. We got some exciting plans in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. Special guest, all that great stuff. So definitely be in the lookout for that. Hey, we got some stickers and I got some coasters now. We want to hear from you. So comment, rate, tweet, rate us on Apple Podcasts. You can rate us on Spotify now. There's like a little star thingy rating that you can do that. Do that. Send us a screenshot. We will throw swag in your face. Or if you have comments about the Book of Boba Fett or a Star Wars question, we would love to answer that on the next podcast. And you can send that to us. Big T, Little T, podcast@gmail.com. So that's all the ways you can get a hold of us. And now remember this, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the force be with you always. Bye.